Have you ever been on a flight with a passenger kicking your seat or shouting at the top of their voice or misbehaving with their friends? Well, now, India's aviation authority is clamping down on bad behaviour, mulling over stricter measures to deal with disruptive passengers. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, or the DGCA, has proposed a draft to deal with unruly flyers. The draft contains rules that would apply to all Indian airlines, domestic and international flights, airport operators and passengers travelling to and from India. Well, if cleared, these will replace the 2017 rules. The DGCA has asked for public feedback on its draft by March 16th. Well, the biggest change is that airlines can directly impose a short-term flying ban.
An airline may directly impose a flying ban for a disruptive passenger for a period not exceeding 30 days without referring the matter to the independent committee, where the passenger is found to have committed any of the following disruptive acts on board an aircraft.
Airlines must also set up clear procedures to handle such cases and report them to the regulator. The DGCA has widened its list of misconduct that could lead to action. This includes smoking on board, using e-cigarettes, drinking alcohol not served by the crew, misusing emergency exits, handling life-saving equipment without permission, shouting slogans or tampering with aircraft parts. The DGCA has divided the behavioural passenger misconduct into 4 categories, adding 1 to the already existing 3 levels. Well, level 1 includes verbal abuse and disruptive behaviour. Level 2 is physical harassment. And level 3 covers acts like damaging the aircraft or endangering lives. Well, now in the proposed draft, there's also an added level 4, which specifically covers any attempt to enter the cockpit, considered a grave safety threat. This can lead to long bans of 2 years or more. Such restrictions would follow an independent committee's review. And once a passenger is placed on the no-fly list by the committee, that ban will apply across all airlines. While the committee decides on the ban, the new draft proposal allows the affected air carrier to temporarily restrict a passenger from its flying list. Once put on the no-fly list, the passenger can appeal to another body under the Civil Aviation Ministry. Well, the draft follows a series of recent incidents involving unruly behaviour of passengers. On a Colombo-Delhi flight last year, an intoxicated passenger harassed a co-traveller and crew. Meanwhile, in a separate incident on a Kuwait-Chennai flight, a passenger was detained for smoking in the lavatory. Such incidents have pushed airlines to adopt a stricter zero-tolerance approach towards unruly behaviour. So the bottom line is, bad behaviour in the air could cost you heavily on the ground. Well, for more on this, we have with us Jitendra Bhargav, former Executive Director of Air India, live from Mumbai. Welcome to the programme. Let me ask you first then, with a number of incidents that we've been seeing on aircraft, I suppose it was only a matter of time before governments tried to take some action.
You see, let's not look at the absolute numbers in which you have unruly passengers incident being involved with various airlines. Look at the size of the market now. There are far more number of people traveling than what they were earlier. So when you look at these instances of unruly behavior, well, they have been on the rise. And it's a very welcome thing that the DGCA is now putting it in public domain, a new set of rules and regulations, so that punishment meted out by airlines can be fast-tracked. It has both merits and demerits. First is, yes, airlines will be able to define what unruly passenger means, unruly incidents are, and take action against it. The question would be, it can be subjective. Each airline will have a different criteria. So when DGCA had under its command a committee constituted, you would knew for sure that this is what is wrong and this is what is right, and a person will get a very fair treatment. Well, let's put it this way. A person who behaves unruly on a flight does not need any sympathy. I'm very categorical about it. The question comes in, will the writ of one airline taking action get accepted by all the other airlines? Because each airline can have its own version of an unruly behavior.
Right, well, that's interesting what you say there. Let me jump in. It's interesting you talk about unruly behavior there. I mean, this can also lead to security concerns, can't it, on board aircraft?
No, when you say unruly behavior, we know what's happening. Now, the question is the scale of it. Somebody can be harsh and say, look, this comes under the definition of unruly behavior. This was the scale magnitude of the issue created, and therefore he needs the harshest punishment. There could be another executive in an airline who says, well, let me forgive him the first time, and let him, if it's a repeat unruly behavior, we'll get into very severe problems. So there is a lot of homework to be done, and it's very good that the DGCA, which is primarily responsible for much bigger jobs concerning safety, etc., let it delegate it to the airline, fine-tune it, see it over a period of 3 months, 6 months, and if it works out well, airlines should be made accountable for ensuring that passengers' unruly behavior will not be tolerated.
Right. So given what you say then, could this encourage airlines to perhaps take more responsibility themselves when it comes to the rules of flying, better screening of passengers perhaps?
You know, that's exactly what I said. That what happens in an airline, let me give you a practical examination here. There's a particular flight going from Mumbai to Delhi. Some kind of altercation takes place between a cabin crew or staff on the ground with the passenger. So you are biased against that passenger. Now, if he does anything minor also can be reported, can be exaggerated. Now, that is where I felt an independent body, even within an airline, should be a welcome part, should not be left to the airport manager, to the airport staff, and said, well, you behaved with our staff member, and therefore you need to be put in the category of unruly passenger. Now, that is where the subjectiveness will have to be removed. Some kind of a mechanism available to an unruly passenger, though I say he does not require any sympathy, but for natural justice, he must have an avenue to appeal and say, well, this is my version of what happened on board the flight, and not what the airline is reporting.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your help, Jitendra Bharkar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The streets roared her name. Supporters climbed rooftops. History seemed ready to repeat itself. Then it happened. A flash. A burst. Panic swallowing cheers. In seconds, Benazir Bhutto was gone. Not voted out, not defeated, but assassinated. Catch the full story on the assassination at these times, only on Firstpost.